Well, hi, everybody. Excuse me. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime here in southern British Columbia in Canada. And this is time for us to, excuse me, talk about our feelings. As you can hear, I am a little bit under the weather, but doing fine and delighted to see you and send you a big hug. And for those of you who may be new to the broadcast, maybe you are just listening in or watching in, feel free to join the chat. But just know that whatever you write on the chat, if I repeat it, it will stay on the live replay, not the live replay. How can it be a live replay, really, so? But it will stay on the replay. And so from that perspective, just be aware of that. And, you know, what people will do is just put a little note up front to say, don't repeat this. In other words, they want to tell the people in the room, but they don't necessarily want it on the, for me to talk about it. Now, what I probably will do, we'll have a look at it, see what the context is, and then, you know, talk somewhere later about that in a different way, just so that we can get it covered off. So welcome and big hugs to you all. DearMamaSal is a group of people. It's not just me. I'm just the front guy, if you like. We are a group of people who get together 3 times a week to hold each other's hands as we go through life. You know, one of the biggest things about life, especially when you're dealing with a pandemic, is to have people that you can tell the truth to. And that is so important, you know, whether that's good or bad. And one of the things that I keep trying to tell the viewers is, funny enough, the good stuff is as stressful as the bad. And people don't realize that, you know, great joy can bring a great deal of stress as well. So if you have a subject about which you'd like me to speak, feel free to write to me at dearmamasal@gmail.com. And I will add it to the list of stuff that we have going on. Just to let you know that we have a couple of viewers that are really having a tough time at the moment. We have Jody has really been struggling with pain. And, you know, I just am amazed at the strength of that woman. She didn't get any sleep last night, so she may or may not join us today. And, you know, I just said to her, you know, forget about the broadcast. Get some sleep if you can. Well, I want to give out a special call out to Alice, a viewer in Denmark whose mum passed away this week. And so I know a lot of my viewers are viewers that will remember her from way back when. And I just wanted to make sure that you all heard that. We're going to be talking today a little bit more about the feelings that I've had this week. You know, for those of you who don't know, a couple of weeks ago now, I had a house fire that was pretty devastating, and you'll hear a bit more about that in a minute, but it was pretty devastating. I survived it, which is the main thing, and I saved the house, which is also pretty important to me. But I am now living in a hotel room away from my home, and so I'm coping with all sorts of things. I'm coping with all the stress of what goes on after a fire, and also coping with all the feelings that you get after a fire. And as I have said to the viewers many, many times, it is really important to me that I keep honest about my feelings, because that keeps me real. However, before I get into that part of the broadcast, I wanted to read you something that Stephanie sent me this week. And it was about the broadcast, one of the broadcasts that we did last week. And she said, let me see if I can get the whole of this up. There we go. She said, I'm so bummed I wasn't able to view the broadcast live. Every time I watch one of your videos, I am so thankful that I stayed tuned. Isn't that lovely to hear? It was exactly what I needed to hear, like usual. As well as you, I am a firm believer that people come across our lives at the moment the universe wants them to. That was a discussion I was having, that I really do believe that people come in and out of our lives as they are meant to, and for the time that they're meant to, which is why we shouldn't get too upset when they come into our lives and then disappear again. They've done what they came to do. Let them move on, and we move on with the lessons that they have taught us, again, good or bad. Even though, and carrying on with Stephanie's comment, even if we go through a bad situation at the time, there's a logical reason as to why it happened to us. Yes, 5 years later, you'll be able to look back and go, wow, that's why I had to live in a hotel for that long. If it's a learning experience or even an experience, we learn so that we may help others. Big part of Dear Mama Sal is teaching ourselves so we can help the people around us. All right, passing it forward is a really big part of what we do. Then she went on to say, change has been a lot of what I've been dealing with in my life for a lot of years. At times, it's almost felt as though I was on a crazy roller coaster. I know a lot of my viewers will relate to that. I went from being a single mom of 2 at a young age, going to college full-time at night, and working full-time during the day. So overwhelm is something that Stephanie obviously knows a lot about. Back then, afraid of change, but blessed I had a very supportive family. When my girls were 3 and 5, I met a man who changed our lives forever. Don't we all have a romance? And just a few years prior, I was barely learning who I was and all over again. But I followed my gut and listened to my heart, and we married. And a few years later, we had another child, which has blessed our lives so much. Then unexpectedly had teenagers starting to go through their own personal struggles, which led our family to change and was extremely intensely difficult times. I know a lot of my viewers will relate to that as well. I've always said, wait until they're 25, they become human again. To sum up my life story, our youngest is 7 and I am now homeschooling her. I have an 18-year-old who's just started to drive, and the oldest is 21, expecting our first grandson in a few weeks. 15 years now married, and we're all going through this historic pandemic. We're all trying to learn to cope with it. My entire life has been full of change, bad, confusing, crazy, hear the train, crazy, pain, sadness, happiness, and at times traumatic. And yet I still feel truly blessed. Hi, Jonas, good to see you. For being able to breathe the life and love my family and my friends who have been on this journey with me. So thank you, Mama Sal, for your thoughts and words of strength and wisdom. Because it does go to show, it does show me that I have so much to feel thankful for when it does come to change. Now, I don't know about you, but I get goosebumps when I read something like that. And as some of you know, I also have always said, if what I do here helps one person, then I will do it for another week. And I've been doing that for a few years now. But obviously, receiving that note just touched my soul, because it told me, even though somebody heard it on the replay, it still had that much effect on them. And so I do encourage you to go to sleep, turn it on and go to sleep. It'll still get through to you. Let me see what happens here. Jonas is saying this broadcast came at the right time. Okay, sending your hug, Jonas. And Sam is saying, oh, yes. I did that last 2 years as a single mom without any support. Yeah. Do you know what, though? Now I know I can get through anything in life, anything that life throws my way. Yeah, you see, that's the very point Steph was making as well, that sometimes the bad things happen to us to build our strength. I'm pretty sure that all of you are learning something by watching me go through what I'm going through. And how many of us already went through some of this with our viewer, Jeannie, whose total house was destroyed. I keep thinking how lucky I am that I actually, will be able to go back into my own home. Although I don't mind telling you that I have some feelings of fear about that. And I think that would be perfectly normal. I'm pretty certain I'm going to be scared for a little while until it becomes normal again. So who are we at Dear Mama Sal? We're like an extended family, and we're people who care. We're people who grow emotionally. I've always said that part of what Dear Mama Sal is about building your emotional intelligence. It's not about being a group of sad people or whatever. No, we're building emotional intelligence. We're dealing with things in the real world and dealing with them and talking about them and helping each other with them. Jonas is saying, I'm still going through the loss of my grandparents. Yes, and that hit you really hard, Jonas, I remember. Is it really 4 years since they left? Wow. I don't know why. It seems like so much closer than that to me. Anyway, so yes, Jonas. And the important thing to remember is that we all deal with these incredibly painful losses, but we do survive it. The pain, that you will always miss them, Jonas. You know that now. After 4 years, you'll always miss them. But life goes on. All right. And the good thing is to remember how lucky you were to have them in your life. And that to me is what growth is all about, that I can look at it and go, yeah, I was really sad that person left me, be it through passing or through they just moved on with their life. But I'm really glad they came into my life. And, even some of the people that have done me wrong. I'm very serious. I used to be a really incredibly forgiving person time and time and time again. And I can remember there was one guy that I realized that he was a friend of mine, but I realized the only time I ever really saw him is when he wanted to borrow money, which he never repaid. I don't know if you've ever had a friend like that. And it took me years before I realized that was the pattern. He'd be really nice to me and then borrow money. And then I wouldn't see him again for quite a while. And then suddenly he'd start phoning and being really nice to me. And guess what? Ask for money. And, and then one day, it all sort of slotted into place. And I remember walking out of my house. I didn't even let him in my house. And I walked out to my house and I gave him some money. And I said, by the way, don't ever contact me again. The only time you have ever contacted me is as a preparation for borrowing money. So that is not a friendship I choose to have. So move on. You find somebody else to borrow money from. I'm not your person anymore. By the way, you don't borrow money, you take it. You have never repaid 1 cent. If you had literally paid me 10 cents a month, I would know you were trying. You didn't even try. Please leave my life. And I felt quite good about it, quite honestly. And I still, I'm still me. I still lend money to people that I think need it. But, it's like, nah, that person, never. By the way, I just want to say we've got some birthdays coming up in November. Nada, we know her birthday is in October, but I'm not sure when. I'm not sure if anybody else has a birthday this week. I do know that next week, that for those of you who know Lauren in Tasmania, she's going to have an ultrasound, both one next week and one the week after. So she is going to need our support, and we'll put up some thoughts and prayers. I need to make notes because Jodie's not here. Hang on a second, people. I'm not used to Jodie not being here. Let me see what I can do here. So I want to find a pen. For those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and she didn't get any sleep last night, and hopefully she's getting some now. So what did I just say? Oh, thoughts and prayers for Lauren, right? There we go. And so I'm going to keep the notepad here because you know what I'm like. I just keep telling Jody, make a note of that. And if she's not here, by the way, if I do it accidentally, will you remind me she's not here? All right, so here we go. For those of you who are new, please follow us. I think the subscribe button is here, and click on the bell. It's going to want to ask you, do you want all the notifications? I would recommend yes, because that will tell you if we're doing an extra broadcast. And I can really made a mess of my eye makeup today. And you know, I can, when we send out notifications, you'll get them. All right, so Sam's saying, I can take notes for the last half if you want. Oh, that would be awesome. Oh, there she is. There she is. Hi, Jody. I would just had to take a note for myself, and Sam was offering to be your backup. So if you're not feeling up to it, just let me know and we'll let Sam take on the job. By the way, Sam, anybody who's silly enough to volunteer like that becomes automatically our backup. Hi there, Kimmy. I think I missed seeing you there. I'm sorry. Oh, interesting. You know the story I just told about the guy who borrowed money from me? Kimmy's saying that one of her daughters did that to her all the time as well. And so if you haven't done it already, please follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. The reason for that is we use Facebook to update you. For example, I was talking about Lauren and her ultrasound or some, you know, if we have an update on that, we would post it there on Facebook. And by the way, I hope you all saw that Erin did a great job with her recent tests. And I don't know about you, I get goosebumps when I hear the good stuff like that. So it looks like her liver is doing, you know, much, much better. So I am certain. Jonas is asking, I may write to you later with more details, Sal, but it's been hitting me really hard this week. You know, I would really recommend that you do, Jonas. There's something about writing something down that really helps process it properly. So write it to me, even if you don't send it to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Just take the time to write it all down. Whether you send it to me, I mean, I'd always be pleased to hear from you, but just do it that way, right? And so Sam is saying, hi, Jody, glad you're here. It wouldn't be the same without you. Absolutely, it wouldn't be the same. But we also think that we can give her a day off every now and then, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about dealing with health issues, and I'll be talking about that, the difference between feeling good and feeling not so good this weekend. And the reason for that is because a lot of us are now you know, going through some struggles. And, you know, how do we cope? You know, I got quite a bad cold, but, you know, how many of you know the moment I started to not feel well, immediately we get feelings of being scared. Have I got the pandemic? You know, and so I keep going. As long as I'm sneezing, I probably haven't. Am I correct on that one? You know, you don't sneeze with the pandemic. That's called a cold. And, you know, yes, I'm coughing a little bit. And yes, I've got, you know, a little bit bunged up in the nose. But I'd like to think that, you know, that slightly sore throat is so endearing, really, in the voice tone, don't you think? I always try to look for the upside of that one. And yeah, a little bit stuffed up, but you'll cope with it. I've been coping with new habits this week. How about you? Anybody got a new habit that they're coping with? I think that being sick was a new habit for me. I don't normally get sick, and therefore I'm learning to cope with it. Oh, interesting. Kimmy's saying she went through that this week, and she went back and forth with it. Yeah. So I'm just doing the best I can on a daily basis. And funny enough, I got 11 hours sleep last night, which is so unusual for me, which probably tells you that I'm not, feeling too good. And then I didn't want to wake up either. Do you know that feeling where you're going, just give me another 10 minutes, just give me another. And I did that twice. And then I went, you now have to make a decision whether you're going to do a broadcast or not. Because if you go back to sleep for another 10 minutes, you may not wake up in time. So make your decision. And that's how I talk to myself. Make your decision. Do you want to get up and do a broadcast? Or do you want to cancel them and then go back to sleep? And I decided it was really funny. I don't believe in coincidences. At that time, I had the television on quietly, so I could sort of half listen to the news, and that always puts me to sleep. And something really interesting came up on the news that made me sort of really wake up and listen to it. And I went, apparently, I meant to get up. Oh, Sam is saying that her new habit is cleaning. I moved this week. For once, I feel motivated and have a nice clean home. Every room, not just the living room. Way to go, Sam. It's one of the things that I notice. I've always said, Sam, if you want to know how I am, check how tidy my environment is. And right now, it's quite a mess. I don't mind telling you. So it's like, yeah, but I know why. All right. Jody's saying this past week, I found myself struggling with patience. And when I try to relax, I'm rushing through listening to music or an audiobook. Work in progress. It's a work in progress to enjoy the moment. Yeah, I think, that's quite normal. And I'll talk a little bit more, and we'll all talk a little bit more about that as we go along. I coped with stress this week when I was awakened with a telephone call from the manager of the community where I live, giving me 30 days solid warning that I have to move my shed. And I know you all understand and all feel the same way. With everything I'm coping with, this is not something I want on my plate, but I've got it. So what I did was, when I heard that, I'm pretty sure you all can imagine, I felt the anger rise. And then I got a little bit picky on that. You know what I mean? I sort of listened to it and started to react to it. And as I started to react to it, I could feel the anger. And I thought, I choose not to go there, really. I got it. So what I did was I actually took it under control. And I said, I just want to make sure I totally understood you. You are now giving me 30 days warning that the shed needs to be gone. Now, you're saying, what happens if I don't get rid of the shed? I could get evicted from where I am. So the point is that, can you see that I can stay in the hamster wheel going round and, oh, it's not fair, and I've got so many other things I'm trying to deal with, and da, 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 da. Is it helping get rid of the shed? No. It's not helping me get rid of the shed. I need to get rid of the shed. The only thing that I am concerned about is, are they going to tell me I've got to get rid of my other shed sometime? I don't know. But, why would I worry about that? So I really am busy just getting out of that hamster wheel and going, the shed needs to go. The sooner I accept that, and empty it. So part of my journey this week is to go and start rearranging things. But I will talk to you a bit more about that as well. But the thing I wanted to tell you, and I'm certain some of you will relate to this, by the time I'd finished that telephone call, I was wide awake. Remember, that call woke me up. And I stormed out of bed. And the first thing I grabbed was the pound cake that the hotel gives you for breakfast. 300 calories, 36 grams of sugar. I inhaled it. And then I burst out laughing because I went, wow, you really gave her control. And as you will hear later, I've had a week of giving away my control. I wondered if anybody is coping with feelings of less than in terms of having limited funds, or maybe you have noticed that the cost of living has gone up, but your means, your income hasn't gone up with it. And I would say, as I've said time and time again, be prepared and not scared. It's probably going to get a lot worse. And so, if anybody has been feeling that this week, let's talk about it a bit and just discuss it. Jody's saying, I can relate. I had the magic trick of making raspberry Pop-Tarts disappear yesterday. Yeah, that is a magic trick, isn't it? Yeah. 1 minute they're there and then poof, they're gone. And you can almost feel the blood sugar doing this, right? Right, good point. Kemi is saying sometimes you need to lose control to get the anger out. And let's talk about that, Kemi, because that's a great thing. Bottling up your anger hurts you horribly. I think some of you know this now from experience, but bottling up your anger is, not letting it out in a healthy way is not a good thing. So if you can learn to, I try to let out my anger in private rather than in public. So I could hear that and I could be angry. But, quite honestly, she has a job to do. And my attitude, it was, okay, fine, I just got to deal with this. My only thing I'm concentrating on is how do I get off the hamster wheel? And we know how to do that. If you're going round and round with anger or resentment or whatever, you just need to let go of the emotions. Just identify them. Yeah, I'm angry because I can't get my way. I'm frustrated because it means I got to find time to go and empty that, and then I'm confused. How do I take down a shed? All these things going through my mind, and I'm going, write them all down, and you will work your way through the list. You'll make it happen. You may even have to ask for help, Sal, but you will make it happen. Sam saying, whatever happened to empathy? Starting on somebody who just lost their home in a fire seems pretty callous to me. Yeah, but you know something? Maybe, and this is what I thought about, Sam, and I'm certain some of you might have thought about this as well. What if the fire marshals actually said to them, you need to clean up this community because it's a fire trap and the buildings are too close to each other? Things like that. It's possible, isn't it? The timing would make sense to me. So, that's what I try to think. Remember, whenever I want to get off the hamster wheel, I try and see both sides. Why was that timing the way that it was? Was it because the fire marshal said so? They didn't have the, what's to tell me that, but what if that had happened? Yeah, and Jody's saying she feels frustrated because she can't be here to help me. Isn't that interesting? And, that's your emotional roller coaster, Jody, right? And quite honestly, I know that. I know all of you would love to come along and we'd have a big, potluck. All right, 10 minutes in the shred, 2 hours eating, 10 minutes in the shed. Yeah, we'd get it finished in no time, right? So the other thing is, and I said that I'm sort of coping with totally different lifestyles. The way that I buy things, I have to ask myself, will this be paid for by insurance? Will I get my money back on this or not? And by the way, I'd like to give thanks to both Jody and Lauren, who have volunteered to help me do the research. I received the first list of the things that they are throwing away. And what I didn't know until this week is that is only the first list. It was over 280 things that they had on that list. And they asked my permission to throw it away. Why? It was waterlogged, ruined, and they needed to let it go. Or it was plastic or cardboard or whatever, smoke gets into there, and they didn't see that it was worth the value. It cost them X amount to extract the smoke. They would rather get rid of it. And so I had to give written permission for them to destroy 280 items from my home. And I found out yesterday that that's the first list, the easy list, if you like. Because what will happen now is as they try to clean up the other things, I will find out what things they were able to get smoke-free and what things they weren't. And so I will apparently be receiving more lists. Probably not quite as big, or maybe they will be. But, I asked because I happened to query, what about all the food? I haven't seen anything on the throwaway list from my food. Like I had 10 pound bags of flour. I had, big bag of rice. I had, so many things that I'd stocked up, as you know, for the pandemic. And, if I understood it correctly, the smoke got into it. So I could have very tasty food, actually, for a while. And Jody is saying, oh, hi, Ned. I'm glad you're tidying while we chat. Good to see you. It's always good to see you. So Jody's saying, I'm sorry, Sal, it's hard to look at the list. I had to get hold of myself. I just had to get to work on it because that's what I can. That's how I can help. Absolutely. So when you see the list, don't get emotionally involved in it. That's not your job. Oh, interesting. Kimmy's saying, my landlord told me her and her husband wanted their land back. I had 30 days and I lost my home. After everything my husband said, that I didn't have to move. Oh my gosh. Kimmy, life throws these things, but when you look at it, it does build strength. So I want to move on a little bit with coping with people. I coped with a lot of people this week. And why? It was Canadian Thanksgiving. So I actually had two different Thanksgiving dinners. And the first one was with Betty Ann, my neighbor at my house. And she invited me to Thanksgiving dinner at her house. And it was really an amazing evening. In fact, it wasn't. It was an afternoon and evening because they said, get here by 3, we'll play some games before dinner. And, that's like, how many of you remember those days when we used to play games? And interesting. Kimmy's saying about what happened to her, about the landlord telling her that she needed to go. She said, it made me not trust landlords. And now we have a home. Yes, you see, that's the upside, right? And, can you imagine getting evicted from somewhere when you've just had a brand new house built? Why? I rent the land on which it stands. So I don't think that's the issue, quite honestly. I think the issue will be get rid of the shed, Sal, and then they won't have a reason. All right, so the first Thanksgiving dinner, I went to Betty Ann's, and they said be there at 3. Well, I was running a bit late, and then I had to make a decision. First of all, how many of you know I'm a bit of a time freak? I don't like to be late. It upsets me if I'm even a minute late for doing the broadcast. But sometimes things get in the way. Technology doesn't work quite the way you want it to. But so here I was. That's gonna drive me mad. So there I was, and I'm going, I want to pick up some flowers for her for Thanksgiving, because if there's anybody I really have to say has supported me so well, other than the DearMamaSal people, it was, of course, Betty Ann and her husband. So I decided, do I go and pick something up and be late? Or do I just go there with empty-handed? And I'm going, no, I'd rather be late. So I sent her a text and said, I'm so sorry, I am going to be a little bit late. But just be aware, I'm fine. I'm a bit behind time. I should be there in half an hour. So then I went, and I said half an hour because that gave me plenty of time to get to the shops and, not have to rush. So I went to the store and I bought a bottle of wine, and then a beautiful double stem of orchids. Now, I'm an orchid person, so I know the value of orchids and I know what they do to your psyche. So that was, and then all the way I'm going, but I'm late. I actually ended up only 20 minutes late, which was good. And I walked in and handed the bottle of wine to her husband, and then I handed her the orchids, and she burst into tears, which wasn't quite the effect that I had planned, but they were happy tears. What I didn't know was that she had never ever received orchids in her lifetime. How about that? And I said, I love orchids because they're such great value for money. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but you can pay $15 for a bunch of flowers that will be dead in 5 days, or you can spend 30 on an orchid that will last for 3 months. Now, I don't know about you. And by the way, they look so magnificent, don't they? And then I said, why have you never bought one for yourself? Hi, Jeannie, good to see you. Why have you never bought one for yourself? And she said, I'm terrified to kill it. And I said, 3 ice cubes a week. She said, what? I said, I learned it from a hotel that I was staying at, where they had such beautiful orchids. And I said to them, because they must have staff changing and all the time, I said, what is the instruction that you get about feeding the orchids? And she said, 3 ice cubes a week. End of story. And ever since then, that's how I have watered my orchids. I do miss them every now and then, and I'll talk to I will talk to Betty Ann about that, And by the way, my orchids are probably dead now in my house because I haven't been watering them properly or misting them properly, but that's okay. That's irreplaceable. I'm irreplaceable. So anyway, so we had, so then we went to go and sit and chit chat. We didn't actually play games before dinner. We sat and chit chatted, and I got to meet her daughter and son-in-law, and they had come. Some of you may know that just to the west of Vancouver, which is close to where I live, there is Vancouver Island, and it's a big island that obviously got split away from the mainland many, many, many hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. And they live in a very remote part of that island up in the north, a sort of logging country. And so she was incredible in the fact that they were telling me that they have remained in a pod of 2 all this time, with the exception that her husband does work, but works in a very tight environment. Oh, that's interesting. Jeannie's saying, by the way, Jeannie is the one whose house burnt down. And she's saying that her husband, York, decided to look in the garage and he found her mother's Foley mill. That's one of those mills that they used to use. I actually have one as well. I still have one, even though I've got all the mechanical devices. Well, I don't have them right now anymore, but, I own them somewhere. They are in storage or being cleaned. But I still have one because, every now and then I find them useful. I love them for making mashed potato, funny enough. Oh, and Jody uses hers for tomato sauce. Yeah, when I do mashed potato, I always put them through there because then you know that you haven't got any lumps in. If you can, push it through there. So anyway, I got to talk to the family and discuss things, but can you believe that they literally haven't had any friends in at all, to visit since this started. Now, in order to get to their mum for Thanksgiving, they had to go on a ferry with people on it. Can you imagine how scary that was? But they tried to stay in the car as much as possible and isolate themselves on the ferry, except when they needed the washroom or whatever. But, it was like, I realized how difficult that was for them. And I really thanked them because I said, I know what this must mean to your mom, that you took this risk for her. And I pray that you will be safe, when you go, and I think they left yesterday. And I hope that they stayed safe. That's all I can pray for. But, if you think about it, I certainly haven't kept my pod to two people, myself and the other person. So that's incredible discipline, I thought. Now, what's that going to be like in the winter? And we'll talk about that. However, great meal, absolutely awesome meal. And I had way too much. And then I had second. Then I had dessert. And, luckily, I'm not a pumpkin pie person. So they made a banana cream pie, banana cream pie, which was awesome. And I could feel my blood sugar level going right up as I had all of that. And then we went to go and play with a Wii. Now, I know this is hard to believe, but in all the years that the Wii game thing has been available, I've never, ever played one. I've never, ever seen what they are like. And what did we do? We bowled. And by the way, the rookie here smashed everybody out of the park on her first game. Beginner's luck. But I really did get an incredible score on the first game. But I was amazed, how many muscles you use doing that. So great fun. And then we did a Zumba type thing. Oh, no. First of all, we did a rhythm type thing. That was right. And I was not good on that on the left side. I was good on the right side, funny enough. But whenever I had to step to the left, and you know that it's my left hip. It's my left hip that doesn't react as well as it should. And I thought, this is really good exercise for me. Yeah, even though I didn't do as well as I would have liked. And to be fair, I need practice doing that. So then they did a Zumba thing, which was rhythm. And, I just loved the rhythm. I didn't care whether I was doing it the right way, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then, what was the last thing we did? Oh, a balance thing where you literally had to move your body like this. And the farther you moved your body forward, the faster you went, and if you wanted to slow down, you went back. Clever. And again, I beat everybody on that. And that was because I bent my knees. Everybody else was sort of standing upright and doing it. But what I did was I bent my knees so that when I leant forward, I had a different center of gravity. Does that make sense? Yeah, because where is your weight? If you think about it, your weight is being carried by your spine, which means your butt was carrying most of the weight over your heels because your knees were now forward. And so it was great fun. It was so good that I said, how much am I going to need to spend to get one of these? That's literally what I said after an evening of laughing and enjoying this game. And they said they picked theirs up secondhand. And I went, okay. And the guy from the neighbor that always joins in is the guy when the other them. And he said, I can get you one, Sal. Yes, on Facebook Marketplace, yes. And he said, I can get you one. And I said, please do. So he did. I haven't got it yet. I haven't picked it up yet. But he got me one for $100 with all the bells and whistles. and you know, with the hand things and the board. And so now when I move, another story coming up, when I move, I will have my own Wii. So great news. And I know you're going to want to see me do it, right? But it is really interesting to do that. So was that a fun dinner? And did I need it? Did I need to laugh? By the way, by the end, and the son-in-law had a great sense of humor. So he and I were busy, you know, trading blows all evening. But, you know, he hurried to have me as his partner for some of the Wii games. And I was quite surprised. And he said, yes, Jody, the balance would be great for you too. Absolutely. But what I didn't realize was just how much exercise you actually give yourself just by playing the games. Hi there, Bernie. It's good to see you. So think about that. And I'm not, you know, what I'm saying is check your Facebook Marketplace. If you can find one, by the way, you want one with the hand things. Make sure you got the hand things. I think mine apparently has also got the game controllers as well for playing other games. So that would be fun, wouldn't it? Yes, it's like the Wii Fit. Yes, I think I've also got that. Checks your weight and balance, everything over the weeks. It motivates you and it's fun. The Wii Fit Plus, I think, is the game is. Yes, I think it's got it on it. I could be wrong, but I think when he said you're going to love this. It's got all the things you need. So I'll let you know when I've got it. So here's the thing. What if I hadn't gone out to Thanksgiving dinner? You see, that's why I look at it. What if I hadn't gone to Thanksgiving dinner? I would never have got myself a Wii because I'd have no idea how useful it would be to keep my muscles working, you know, during the winter. Such a good idea, Sal, for a Christmas gift too. Yes, that's why I'm saying, you know, if you can get a secondhand one, this is like, I really need this. And the other thing is this, you know, they're a little technical to put together. So I made sure that my buddy who got it for me, if necessary, would come and put it together for me. If I needed it, if I couldn't do it myself. So I took the risk of going in and being with new people, two new people. But, you know, I gained a lot. I gained a lot. All right. I laughed. We laughed so much that evening. And, you know, if I hadn't gone, I would have missed Betty Ann's incredible reaction to the orchids. And so that was absolutely amazing. And then I went the night before last. The night before last, I took Yvonne and Wade out to dinner for Thanksgiving. Jody's already seeing one for $70 with the controllers. Good idea, adding it to my Christmas list. Good. All right. And then Bernice is saying, I switch to the dance game, just the dance game. It's fun exercise. I'm waiting for prices to go low for Fit Ring for the Switch. Anyway, Fit Ring for the Switch. I don't know what that means, Bernice. Help me with that. Kimmy's saying, now that the game is the Wii Fit Plus. Okay, that's good to know. And Kimmy's saying she has a Wii. So here I'm not being paid by Wii to promote it, just so you all know. I just want to tell you something. One evening playing with that, not only is it a great game to play with other people, but what I liked about it, it's, you know, we don't play games anymore, people. Oh, Switches from Nintendo also. Okay. I like a Wii, but the newer portable version. Oh, good to know. Switch is from Nintendo, and it's the newer portable version. Okay, so mine's going to be portable, Bernice, because it's going to move and then move again and then move again. I got 3 moves coming up. It would be way cool if it were an online game. Yes, that's very true. But, I think we'll get to that pretty soon, Nada. That's my feeling. So anyway, I went to go and have dinner with Yvonne and Wade. And Yvonne, I know Yvonne really well. I know how she processes things. So when we went to dinner, I said, okay, Yvonne, ask me the questions you've been wanting to ask me, but you didn't want to, for fear that I, would have to relive whatever. Just ask me whatever questions you want. I'm in a, happy to answer the question. I want to tell you the whole meal she asked me questions. And I said to her, you're such a bozo, Yvonne. You could have had the answers to all these, the week of the fire. No, but I didn't want to ask you. I said, Yvonne, how long have you known me? I said, but what you've done is you've shut down, not chatting to me as much for fear of putting more pressure on me, and I have missed you. So I'm here face to face to tell you that, with tears in my eyes, Yvonne, to tell you that, get over it. I had a fire, I survived. I'm still here, and I need my friend back. And then what I said to Wade, because Wade works at Home Depot, and I said, Wade, I need one of those outside big resin deck boxes, because I need somewhere to put the stuff that I'm going to take out of the shed. So I said, please get on that for me. And, I don't mind which Home Depot has it. Just let me know where I can get it. All right. So Nada's saying, I'm working on being more easy to talk to, less reactive. I want my family and friends to be able to ask me questions and come to me to talk. Yes, Nada, very important with the winter coming up. All right. And how great that you can see you are working on what it takes for them to feel comfortable around you. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, Nada. You remember you're a work in progress, right? So the first one might not go as well as you would like, but you'll keep improving. And one of the things that you might want to keep saying to yourself, enough about me. Let me get them talking about themselves to give me a break, because then it helps you recover your emotional strength. But I'm delighted to hear that you're doing it. Delighted. So I want to move on now to coping with chaos. I've had a lot of chaos this week in my life. I think I'm going to have a lot of chaos in the next year. And then I'll be moving on Monday. The reason I will be moving on Monday is that the place that had the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom, into which I was going to move on the 20th, I think is Tuesday, they actually let me know they've got a 1-bedroom plus den available starting on Monday, 1:00. And so that is a really nice thing for me. And then I will move into the 2-bedroom, which is in the same complex but a different building, on the 3rd of November. Now, how many of you are rolling your eyes? I've collected quite a bit already in my life. I came in with just the clothes that I was wearing and a purse. But I notice I've collected a lot of stuff already because, it's me. And so what I decided was I could stay here until the 3rd of November and then go straight into the 2-bedroom. But let me tell you what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to a proper kitchen. because I'm looking forward to a dishwasher. I mean, I don't mind telling you that. I'm looking forward to a dishwasher and some space. You know, the space here is really cramped and it's very difficult to cook things. I'm looking forward to being able to cook properly. And then I'm also looking forward to a washing machine. However, the upside of not having a washing machine is I have discovered a number of things. Number one, let me go get it because I want to show you something. Hold on a second. Now, this just happens to be a Walmart bag to put frozen foods in. But what I've discovered is some of you may know that I've got a CPAC machine and I clean it using this ion cleaner. You know, I plug the hose in here and I throw the mask and this, I turn it on, throw the mask and this into here, close it up, and it ionically takes out any bacteria. And I started to think about that. Ionic cleaners destroy bacteria. Okay. So then I thought, I don't have to wash my clothes as much. Think about this. So now what I do is, for example, this is the nightshirt I was wearing last night. And all I do is when I get up in the morning, I fold it up and I throw it in the bag and I put the ionic cleaner on and I leave it. And then, for example, I was out, I'll talk about that in a second, but I was out doing something yesterday and I got quite hot and sweaty. And I just took all my clothes off and I put them in the bag and threw the ionic cleaner in there. And it just takes half an hour. And yeah, guess what? So, you know, it was just like, am I sure that it works? Yes, I am pretty darn sure that it works. Feel free to do the any testing that you want. But ionic cleaners are absolutely ionic cleaners are an amazing things. And if you've got a car that maybe you've got a car with it's beginning to smell a bit musty, throw one of those in for half an hour. Right. So Sam is saying that someone she knows does not clean their sleep machine ever. Okay, so that's their right. Jody said, I have one, Nada. It's fantastic. I clean my CPAC and other things. Yes, I've taught Jody the value of using it for other things. By the way, if your runners are getting, sneakers, whatever you call tennis shoes, if they're getting a bit, past their prime, huck them in there with the ionic cleaner. They'll come out beautiful. It's just like once you have one, you wonder how you lived your life without one. And so now, some things I'm rinsing out. If I've done, 3 days of ionic cleaning or whatever, I'll throw them in the bathtub and I'm rinsing things out. You will be amazed how many things are still dropping dye. Just by rinsing them and hanging them up against my shower curtain, I can see the dye dripping out of them, which is a bit scary because I've got to get rid of the dye. I don't want to be nuked for having, ruined the shower curtain. But you understand, it's like, wow, I'm amazed what you don't see by things being in the washing machine. How much are they? They're like under $100. It depends where you get them. Sorry, it depends where you get them. You know me, I get mine. I think I got mine from China. But the thing is this: do they work? Yes. And Jody confirms it. So, by the way, you might want to have a word. I'm certain that we will find out how much they are. Yeah. Jody's probably already working on it for me. Jody, if you can find the one that looks like mine, so let's make sure we're comparing apples and oranges. It looks like this. Poor Jody, she's not feeling well, and I'm putting her to work. She's a big girl. She can tell me, go find it out yourself. All right, now then, in terms of the move, I want to get back there. I'm looking forward to having a washing machine. However, you know, it's one of the things that I have learned to use more because I'm in a hotel. So if ever you go, this is what I'm trying to tell you, if ever you go on vacation again, be a really good idea to have one of those with you for quick, and you know, and a bag that you can seal up. The reason I use this bag is because it's got that lining in it. By the way, that's how they will get the smoke out of my house. Did you know that as well? They have giant ones of those. And that's how they will get that's how they will get the smoke out of everything that they've taken away. They will put it into a room and have giant ion cleaners that will clean the air because it permeates everything. The same way as the smoke permeated everything. Thank you. Jody is saying there is a similar one from Ion Max. Listen to this, for $43 American on eBay. All right, so you understand, for $50, you got yourself a dry cleaning unit. Because really, if you think about it, that's what it is. A dry clean. All right, now then, I just want to tell you that I did hear this week talking about chaos. Not only that I've only got the first of many lists to come about what they want to throw away, but I also heard that they will need to do structural changes. The trusses on my house holding up my roof, a couple of those burnt so badly that they will need to be replaced. And so what we will be doing is now having to get permits to rebuild my house, which will delay everything. So now, instead of looking at a possible 4 months, I could be looking at 6 to 9. It depends how long it takes them to get the permits. Does that make sense? And I'm pretty sure that, you know, I don't know whether they can, the thing they need the permits for the roof. So what are they going to do? Are they going to work on the inside and seal off the top part of the house so they can work inside? But then I'm going, if they have to work on that roof and it's wet, they're going to ruin all the ceilings again. So I don't know. It's not my problem, right? It's their problem. I have to trust that they will know what they're doing. So, all right, Jeannie's saying that they're waiting for actual building permits now. It's 2 to 3 weeks. I am delighted that your local municipality only takes 2 to 3 weeks. Here, it can, you know, depending on where you live, it can take a whole lot longer. And so that's just what they've told me. Now, it could be that everything goes through immediately. And oh no, Bernice is saying, wow, Mama Sal, that long for a permit with just a piece of paper. Yeah. And for Jeannie, she's saying, you know, it's days, you know, it's two or 3 weeks where she is. I have to believe the insurance guys here. Why does it take longer here than where you are? I don't know. But they did tell me it could put up to 3 months onto it. But luckily, my particular area where I live, They say they are much better than the one where I used to live. But they said, we won't really know. So what I'm trying to do is be prepared. It could be 9 months. I won't be back until the spring. And then be happy if I end up moving back, guess what? In the middle of winter. Just like, oh, Kimmy's saying it takes a long time there too. All right. That's actually, Sam, I'm just sorry, I stopped because what Sam is saying is really interesting and germane to this. She said, as long as they get that ice and water sheet down on a dry day, good roofers can do their thing, rain or shine. Yes, and that's what I thought as well, that they probably will go in and seal off the ceilings and everything with that water sheet and everything. And they may just go straight over the whole house for all I know, so they can work underneath it. And Jeannie's saying, we waited forever just for the demo permit. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm trying to say to you is I'm not going to worry about why does it take so long. None of my business, really. I'm going to go, it does take that long, so let me be prepared. Do you understand? I could get it's not fair that they take so long. They know, not the point. The point is, needs to go. Kimmy, the reason I have to get rid of one of my sheds is because apparently the bylaw says I'm only allowed one. And no, it's not fair because the last 2 owners have had it and now they're taking it from me. I'm not going to fight it. The reason I'm not going to fight it is it would cost me as much to go to a lawyer as it would to get it pulled down. And I might have to pull it down anyway. So my attitude is, let me learn to live without it. It's some downsizing. Make sense? And I just don't need the extra aggro or to fight it too much. I just need to let it go. I have, if you think about it, if I can use it properly, I have the whole of the underneath of my house is crawl space. Plus, I have a 29-foot deck, and underneath it, there are 29 foot of crawl space. So I just need to organize the space better. Jeannie is saying, we got a bill from a collection agency today for over $400. This is due to Spectrum asking money for their equipment that burned in the fire. I don't know who Spectrum is. I'm sorry for not being an American. That I don't know what that is. Is that like maybe Wi-Fi stuff or whatever? Yep, that's okay. All right, that's what I wondered. Yes, the Wi-Fi type stuff. So that should be covered by your household insurance, quite honestly. Sam's offering to help me find out the bylaws in my jurisdiction. You know something? Bless you. I am very. I'm touched by that, Sam. You know something? I've made a decision. I'm going to let the shit go. So I just don't want that much. I don't want to fight anymore. Sam, pick your battles. I've got a big shed that is already bigger than they allow. My thing is, are they going to turn around and tell me to get rid of my second shed? That is the only thing I'm going to ask to get in writing, that they will not be coming back and telling me to get rid of this big shed. Yes, Jeannie was saying that she's already called Spectrum, and I quite honestly, these things are beyond our control. Sam is saying, completely understand, keeping your energy where it needs to be is the most important thing right now. Exactly. It's like should, and I am picking the areas that I concentrate on now. I have to. Hi, Niasha. Good. I hope you're feeling better, honey. So I wondered how any of you guys are doing with your fears this week. And I say your fears because we're about to go into, you know, a time in our lives that we've never had before. You know, we are about to go into, in the Northern Hemisphere, you know, much colder weather, which is going to bring everybody inside. And we are going to be at greater risk for COVID. And I know that already the COVID is doing terrible things in the States. So I am pretty certain you'd be quite normal if you're feeling pretty fearful. And so to me, it's like at some point we have to trust that, you know, we can be careful. And you know, I decided that that Thanksgiving thing is probably the last social thing that I will be doing for a while. And especially as I got the cold. Uh, and so to me, this is like, I'm going to make sure I'm over the cold before I do anything else. For example, I won't be going for Sunday dinner tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Sunday dinner, because I do have a cold and I don't want to give it to other people. I don't know where I got it. I might not have got it at the Thanksgiving thing. I might have got it in the hotel, you know. And so I am aware that we will need to be more and more careful. Yes, they said to be, you know, Kimmy's saying to be prepared for a second wave of COVID and it'll be worse. I quite honestly don't think the States has finished their first one yet. So you're going to have a super jump in yours because yours never did flatten out, you know, and come way down. Yours stayed pretty high and now it's going to go way high. Yeah, the change in temperature can cause cold. So, um, you know, we all have reason to fear. However, are we going to let that stop us from living? I think that is the question that I'm trying to ask you. Bernice is saying, not much fear, but very nice weather and cooler, which helps me get workouts done. I am still working on our house and I have done a ton. And I still have a ton to finish, but progress is slow. Yes, you understand this week I'm going to be, well, in fact, on Sunday, I'm going to be packing up, ready to move. Bernice is saying being very tired and some stuff like depression setting in, but pushing through. All right. So again, Bernice, one thing I know about you is you're very good about lists. You like your lists. So make sure that you keep your list. You know, have I taken my pills? Did I shower today? You know, all that what I call personal hygiene stuff, very important on a daily basis. And then have I eaten breakfast? You know, whenever that is, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Keep that list going because I know you've done that before and it really helped you. And by the way, Bernice, just so you know, when I start to get a little bit out of kilter, I start doing that as well. I literally do a checklist where I include those things and I go, you know, have I taken my medications this morning? Have I had a shower? Have I had anything to eat for breakfast? Have I I actually go down that list that I saw you put up one day. um, so thank you, Nyasha. Nyasha saying, Mama Sal, you've got a cold. Be very careful because that means you're going to get very sick. The immune system would be more germ friendly. So be cautious. Yeah, I understand. I'm doing everything I can. I've slept for 11 hours last night. I'm doing what I can to give myself a fighting chance. I'm taking vitamins. I'm doing all those things. I just have a cold. All right. So Bernice is saying she's going to go back to that list. Well done, Bernice. I think it'll help you. All right. She said, I have skipped the list, but I've been keeping up with food and meds. I think it's really important that you go back to that list, Bernice, because you will get that reward that you need. All right. Anybody that's prone to depression, it's really important to be able to check things off because it says that you are doing the right things. Yeah. Again, I wanted to check, do any of you have any fears around Thanksgiving this year that maybe you need to not do a family gathering? And so, and are you fearful about that? You know, if you are really one of those family gathering sort of people, this is going to make a huge impact on you. And so what I want you to know is this is not about being unfamily-like. This is about being safe. And so if you think about it, yeah, Jodie's saying she has no fears because we're staying home and it's just the two of us. Yeah, and I think quite honestly, if you can do that, you understand. I'm living in an environment in a hotel. People are coming in and out all the time, not wearing masks. Am I fearful? A little bit. But is that going to help me? No. I just want to tell you, I don't go out without my face shield on, and I carry wet wipes with me everywhere. You know, literally, you know, antibacterial ones. I literally have a bag of them in my carry-all, and I just use them all the time for everything. And then when I get in the car, I wipe down my steering wheel with another one so that, you know, and I make sure that before, you know, when I get in my car, I make sure I desanitize or debug everything, and then my steering wheel as well, and then I go. All right, so Ned is saying, where I live has a shared laundry, and I usually go to families to do laundry, but nervous for the winter. I may have to do the shared. Yes, but think about it, Nada. Go at times when other people won't be there. In other words, you may want to start doing your washing at midnight. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, think about, you know, when is it unlikely that there will be other people there, and wear a mask and sanitize all the buttons and everything. Makes sense? That would be my recommendation to you. Don't forget the handles of your car door. That is why, because I have used the handle to get into the car, that is why I sit down, and I normally, you know, use the steering wheel to balance as I sit down. That's why I totally sanitize the steering wheel and myself before I start the car. Bernice says, don't, okay. And Nada said, that's what everybody else is doing too, though. I try to do early morning and late night. It's hard to time. Yes, you can only do the best you can. Well, if you wish it had a schedule, why don't you suggest that? All right. I don't know how many people live in your building, but maybe everybody wishes there was a schedule. So maybe put up a note in the laundry room and saying how many people would prefer this if we were on a schedule. And, you know, there's nothing to stop you guys choosing to do that. And Jodie's saying that she had a flu shot and a shingles vaccine yesterday. I am actually thinking about going and getting my flu shot as well. Maybe not this week, but the following week. Yeah. So the other thing is, remember to talk about your fears. All right. Don't bottle them in. Remember to talk about them. It's not that we're going to discount them. I think it's healthy to be fearful at the moment. All right, so Nada, that's a good point. Nada's saying, I've been healthier and not taking flu shots now. I'm not sure if I want to take them. That is absolutely your choice. So to me, this is like, you know, we we can only do the best we can. And I don't think that taking the flu shot is going to necessarily stop you getting any flu. It's just going to stop you getting the ones that you're immunized for. Hang on a second, people. I got a drink. You know, one of the things I'm really missing are my pliers because I can't open things. All right, so guys, keep talking about the fears, all right? And that would be really awesome. Yes, just saying, and I would be careful going to any doctor's office with cold. They might mistake it for the virus. Well, absolutely. And that's why I don't want to go anywhere with the cold at the moment right now. Yeah. Kim is saying they do say that the flu and pneumonia shots can help. Yeah, absolutely. So, but it is a personal choice. So I'm not going to judge anybody one way or the other. This is like, all right, now that's a good bit of information. Jody is telling Kimmy that there is a patient assistance program available for shingles vaccine, and she's going to send her the info. Isn't that nice? You see, that's what I love about our group of people. Such good people. I do have to tell you that I coped with more anger this week. Any of you understand that one? But I noticed as well, of course, that my eating has been less disciplined because of the stress and anger buildup. And therefore, mind you, I had 2 Thanksgiving dinners in 1 week. My blood sugar has been horrific. But it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. So that is what I'm going to be busy keeping track of. And Bernice is saying what I'm scared of is really getting driving lessons from hubby. Heard that it takes a ton of patience from a teacher and student. Yes, getting driving lessons from anybody is stressful. And I would say from your husband, even more stressful. Not only that, you probably won't learn the right things. Why? Because we don't realize it, but we just do not drive the right way. And the reason what I would recommend to you is even if you start getting your driving lessons with your hubby, once you've got your confidence going and things have been working for you, make sure you get at least a couple of really good lessons, or maybe 4, with a driving instructor just before you go take your test. That would give you the best fighting chance, quite honestly. That's congratulations. Jeannie is saying that York has got his license back. Yes, I'm sure he's happy. I felt very frustrated this week because I haven't been able to do as much because I'm, not feeling strong. I get over it. I understand frustration is just hamster wheel stuff. And so I keep stopping myself and getting off the hamster wheel and saying, what can you do? And if all you can do is sit and binge watch or lie down and binge watch something, that's okay. Do that. You need to rest your body. All right. Sam is saying, okay, secret time. I am terrified of driving. Haven't done it once as an adult. And there goes your freedom to such a big extent, Sam. How does that feel? All right, so that's Bernice is saying that's what I want, and to get defensive driving as well. Yes, defensive driving has saved my life a couple of times, just so you know. All right, now then, have any of you coped with anything new this week? I did. I got really fed up with my Fitbit stuck together with Scotch tape and decided to buy a new fitness watch. And I can't show you what happened to it. I've got to tell you what happened because I can't show you. But anyway, so I bought a new one. And by the way, I picked this up at Walmart for like $50, I think. And it does as much as the Fitbit and has, I think, a longer lasting battery as well. And you can see it is much smaller. Now, I'm wearing 2 because I wanted to make sure that they both reacted the same way to things. And for example, my Fitbit says that I have done 990 steps today, and my watch says only 542. Why the difference? I don't know. So that is the interesting thing, right? Why do they have different readings? I'm just going to keep wearing the two for about a week until I work out what the norm is. However, over and above this, what I've also done is I've spoken to the insurance people and said, I'm pretty sure you guys know that I wrecked my watch while I was firefighting. Is the insurance going to pay for a new one? And they're going to put in a special request. They do know that that's what caused it. And it's not just the band, it's the actual watch connection. I must have caught it on something and it bent something. And so, this is about, I told the truth. I said I bought a cheap one, but it's not the same. The difference is this cost me close to $300, I think, and this cost me 50. So, they're different. Interesting. Kimmy's saying, my youngest daughter gave me her Fitbit. She wants one with more options on it. Okay, I wonder what options she wants. And Bernice is saying, I'm 31 and have been here for a while, but the fear now outweighs by my need to drive and find treasure myself at stores. Yes, for our diabetes, right? She wants to drive so she can get the right food for herself. I think that's wonderful. Jody's saying, you can do it, Bernice. You'd be so proud of that accomplishment. Yeah, and Jody was mentioning earlier that one of our viewers, Manon, who lives in the south of France, she literally had such problems at learning how to drive, that driving instructors almost refused to work with her. And we encouraged her not to give up and keep going until she found a driving instructor that gave her the right confidence. And she did, and she got her license. And so don't give up on yourself, Bernice. No guarantee you're going to pass it the first time. All right. I think sometimes they just fail people the first time. So they make sure you do another 6 months of driving or whatever. You know what I mean? It's so just, be prepared to fail the first time and be prepared to keep taking it until you pass it. How do you change the band on the Fitbit? Okay. It's really quite easy. On the back here, you see this little area here, the two metal things. If I didn't have nails, I could do it without a pen, but I do have nails, long ones. And so what you do is you just, actually, I might just be able to do it without. You just press on that area where the two things are hard. Oh, I've of course got mine stuck together with tape, so it makes it more difficult. There you go. So I just pressed on that area where the two things are, and then you just pull it up. And yes, it was because of the tape, because I can see the tape just bent. Okay. So very easy. And by the way, I have had probably I've got about 4 different sorts of bands that I've got, but so that when you go out, I can wear a different band, you know what I mean, different colors. And I wear the rubber one during the day, general stuff. But when I go out, I will wear the leather one or whatever, so it's just a thing. However, I want to tell you the story about the watch. So here's the story. I couldn't get it to tell the time. In fact, I couldn't get it to do anything, to be quite honest. So after hours of trying to get it to do the right things and all the research and YouTube and everything else, I'm going, I must be doing something really wrong. So I ended up phoning the company, and they had a great guy helping me. Cut a very long story short, it turned out that I didn't know it, but it had a film over the top of it that was stopping me from being able to read any of what was underneath it. And that's why I thought it wasn't working. It was just incredible. Jody, my Fitbit's working beautifully. Oh, I don't know. Which Fitbit do you have? Quite honestly, the easiest way is to Google the name of your Fitbit. You know, mine's corded charge too. So these definitely you can get new bands. You know, and they'll get the manual on the watch that you've got. If it's this looks like it's permanently connected, but it isn't. All right. So Sam is saying that's exactly it. I'm too hesitant, and people just drive so aggressively nowadays. And you know something? That is a reality, and that is what Manon had to overcome. And I assure you that in France, they drive a whole different way. I want to tell you, driving in France was more scary for me than driving anywhere in the world, and that included, you know, places that don't have proper rules of the road. It was just like anyway. So here's the thing: I eventually asked for help, and during one of the times that I had to download and re-upload and do goodness knows what else, all the other things I had to do, I suddenly realized there was something sticking out and I didn't like it. So I pulled on it and it came off, and it was the cover. And underneath, my watch was working beautifully. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're looking for, I think this is called, an iTech. So, and I think it's actually an iTouch. When you download the app, it's an iTouch. But anyway, it works beautifully. And for $50, give or take, definitely worth the investment. However, I don't understand why it has a different step monitor than my other one. Maybe the length of the step is different. That's what I need to check on. Bernice is saying, agreed, Samantha. My hubby drives me everywhere and I watch him drive, and we always get into an almost accident by other people, and my heart stops all the time, which scares me. That's why I said defensive driving is a requirement. I asked hubby, but he said he was going to have me do that either way. Yes, really important, defensive driving. And, you know, it's scary to learn. Sakura, anything that we learn is scary, right? I assure you that I felt like a right idiot learning how to get my watch to work. And especially when I realized there was some plastic film that I'd never removed, and that's why I couldn't see anything. You know, I felt really stupid. But it was so well put on there that I didn't notice it was a problem. So, yeah, but you know, I think as well, what we taught, Manon was not to concentrate on what was wrong, but rather to concentrate on what she would be getting. In other words, the freedom. And I assure you that she's never stopped. Since she got her license, so she's very happy. All right, Brinsky, good to see you. And so, did anybody make a mistake this week? I did wonder a couple of times. You know, was going out to a meal a mistake? Was going out to 2 meals in 1 week a mistake? But you know, it is what it is. And I have to also be aware of my mental health. I live in a hotel room, not my home, in a hotel room on my own. I don't see anybody all day. I assure you that I need human contact of some sort. And I would recommend any of you, I know, who live on your own, You've got to do something because your mental health is also important. I think that there is great risk in not looking after your mental health in the winter. Yeah, and thank you, Bernice. Bernice is saying, you're not stupid. Yeah, I know it was there to protect the face and everything, but it was so well put on that I didn't even notice it was there. But no wonder I couldn't get it to work. all the things were happening underneath it. And so, it was really weird. So do you agree that just in terms of that alone, I just needed to forgive myself and just go move on? And everything about it is different. The way you charge it is different. The way you read it is different. The app is different. And what do I know? Everything's easy to do once you know how to do it. So now it is, one step forward. Jody is saying, I have not been taking the best care of myself this week. Back in control now, but it's going to take time to feel better and back fully on track. Thank you, Jody. I could hear you telling me that when I took my blood sugar yesterday, and it was 12. Wait a minute. What's that in American? Well, high. Very high. Enough that my glucose meter was saying, this is exceptionally high for you. Have you done something unusual? And I went, 2 Thanksgiving dinners and not much control. So, it just is, I need to get control back. And I could hear you saying, this is not the end of the world unless you keep that. If you can correct it, you're fine. If you can't correct it, you've got a problem. Thank you. It scared me when I took it last night, Jody. And Jody, and let me talk to you now, because I know there was some confusion about the question I asked on our fitness channel. What I wanted to know was, if I have a meal, am I not meant to take a test at all for 2 hours? And when I do, that's called the after a meal test. Or if it's 3 hours later, is it now before the meal test? All right. So what I'm trying to find out, and this is ridiculous because I've been testing for over a year and I've never asked this question, because quite honestly, it's never been high like that. So I wasn't as worried. But, it was just like that read really high at the wrong time for me. And I'm going, wow, that's scary. So this morning it was down to the 7s. That was good. And not good, but it greatly improved on where it was last night. And so I know I've just got to keep doing the right things for a couple of days and we'll be back on track, or I hope so. And so coping with forgiveness is something that is a feeling I've needed to work on this week, right? Beating up on myself does not fix anything. It just makes me more stressed, quite honestly. So what does? Action, right? So beating up on myself about having that high blood sugar level, not going to fix it. What's going to fix it is doing the right things: more protein, more water, maybe some intermittent fasting for a couple of days. All right, so Jody is saying that is correct. It's called postprandial. 2 hours after, 3 hours I would just expect it to be reasonably lowered and keep going until back in range. Water, water, water. Yep. And as you see, I have immediately, when I finished my coffee, I immediately broke out water. So, and I have, just so you know, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bottles of water going. One here where I sit by the computer, one in the kitchen, one next to my bed, and one in my washroom. And without it being too much information, every time I go into the washroom, I make sure I then glug some water as well. All right, so thank you, Bernice. Bernice is saying that her nutritionist said to check before eating a bite of food, that is before food. 2 hours after the first bite is the one after the meal. Yes. So you can't test it all. I've got a question on that. Let me just carry on reading. Jody is saying, thank you for us addressing that. I wasn't sure what you were asking. Okay, so here's my thing. What about if you have a meal and, I'm inclined to snack every 2 hours rather than have big meals. So therefore, my question is, am I actually, if it's less than 2 hours when I have my next snack, should I just not test? So that, it's interesting. So how many of you listening to this know that you need more water in your life? And what I really recommend is to get into a routine. One of the things that really has helped me drink a lot more water in the morning is when I get my medications, I take 1, 2, 3, about 6 different medications and vitamin stuff, right? About 6 of them. And in the old days, I used to huck 3 in, glug, 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 finish it, and then, the next 3 and done. Now I put 1 in, glug, 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 the next 1 in, glug, glug, glug. I want to tell you, I drink nearly a bottle of water, or half a bottle at least, just taking my meds. And it's half a bottle I wouldn't normally have. Most people, Jody is saying, test first thing in the morning on an empty tummy, and then after dinner or lunch. I wouldn't even bother testing after a snack. Okay, interesting. See, and that's the whole thing. Bernice is also saying that she knows she needs to improve her water intake. I have been doing well, but the past 2 to 3 days, not more than 1 or 2 bottles. Okay. Yes, Vrinsky, I want to tell you, it's a really good idea taking those pills individually. I get through, as I said, at least half a bottle of water doing that. And it doesn't feel like it. And then every time I go to the kitchen, I pick up the bottle there and I just take a couple of sips. All right. So I know that right now I need to take extra water. I know it means I'm going to spend more time in the washroom, but it also means I'll be filling up again in the washroom. So, it's interesting, isn't it? It's just like a routine. If you can get into the routine, it helps. And I want to tell you, in terms of my achievements, I'm feeling really good about the fact I achieved something yesterday that I have not done before. This is going to make you all laugh, I hope. I went and voted without Yvonne. Now, as some of you know, that I literally didn't get the right to vote in my lifetime until about 10 years ago, if that. And some of you will remember when I became a Canadian. Because I had left England when I was 21, I was old enough to vote, but there hadn't been an election. And then I went to Africa and I never did become a citizen. I was a landed immigrant for my 17 years in Africa. And then I came to Canada. And guess what? I didn't become a citizen until about 10 years ago. So in my whole lifetime, I had never voted. And then I became a Canadian. And by then, I had met Yvonne. So we always voted together. We always went together and we chatted in the line together and we did all the things. It was really interesting because it was just like, that's how I voted. But I realized I have moved municipalities, if you like, and now I had to vote in a totally different place. And I needed to vote on my own, and I did it yesterday. By the way, I wasn't feeling great, and so I had lots of excuses that why I shouldn't go. And I went, Sal, get the vote in, do it. The longer you wait, the more busy it's going to be, the more at risk you're going to be, and go and do it on your own. And I was pretty lucky. I think I only had to stand in line for about half an hour. And I was so proud of myself. And I got the sticker that says I voted. So I'm very happy about that. It was a big achievement. I have procrastinated this week. I don't know if any of you relate to that. I procrastinated about doing the tweaks on last week's videos for some reason. I still haven't done them. I've had other things. Is not a good excuse, because I've spent an awful lot of time binge watching an Australian program, but something tells me it's not the end of the world. Get through once I've moved and settled again, I will, I'm going to try and do a little bit of tweaking of these videos every night. But then when I've moved, I will play catch up and do those things. Yeah. How many of you were talking to me about the fact I needed a granny cart? That's really like a shopping bag on wheels. And you know what I decided to do, because I'm moving from one place to another? What I'm doing is I actually bought myself a second duffel bag on wheels, one of those duffel bags that's got wheels on it. And when I go shopping, I take that. And I want to tell you, it works really well. It holds a stack of stuff. I am amazed how many groceries that it holds. However, you have to remember that you've got to lift it into the car. But yeah, it's my resistance training is lifting that up and getting it into the car. But it is so easy to roll, and it doesn't look like a granny cart. So I really recommend thinking about getting a duffel bag on wheels and using it as your shopping bag. It saves, obviously I didn't have to have a whole lot of plastic bags. I just said, fill it, I bought the bag and said, fill it up. And it was amazing, actually, how much fitted in there. All right, Bernice is saying, Mama Sal, we're the same about the voting. And that's why I make sure hubby votes, because I can't yet. I love stickers. He gives me his stickers, and sometimes the ladies with the stickers gives me extras. Well, there you are, you see. Isn't that fun? And they even had, where I was voting, they even had for a voter in training. In other words, if you had children with you, you could actually give them a sticker, which I thought was really cute, because, all the kids would want stickers. Wow, what is this that Kimmy's saying? How many of you are going to the polls to vote? All right, because Kimmy's saying they want you to sign the ballot and bring it to the court, and then they will know which side you're working for. It doesn't sound right to me. Anyway, I'm not going to, that's American thing. I don't think anybody should know who you're voting for. That's my view. I also heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I also heard that people are putting up false ballot boxes. They're not the real ones. And then what they're doing with them. So I don't know which side's doing it, but whoever's doing it, it is so wrong. So here we are, another Friday lunchtime. And I'm hoping that some of you will have got some benefit out of today's broadcast. And if so, let me hear what it was for today. Was it worth my getting up to talk to you? What was it that you needed to hear today that has helped you take a slightly better attitude? And how many of you know that I literally am now going to try and live sort of 3 different lives, almost. It's just amazing. And keeping my self-control is going to be really important for the next week. Kimmy's saying it doesn't sound right. They should not know who you're voting for. So I'm going to the polls and putting it into the computer. I think, but you may have to wait 8 hours in line. Jeannie's saying, try chicken noodle soup. Soup helps colds. I would if I had it. I do have some Actually, I do have some chicken noodle type stuff. Yeah. Bernice is, and thank you, Jeannie. Bernice is saying, I needed to hear it's okay and I'm doing good. And joy and encouragement helped me lift up in my mood. Remember, Bernice, depression is stuff, anger turned inwards, all right? So this is about where every time you achieve something, you are helping lift your mood. It sends out your endorphins and it makes you feel better. So that's why I'm saying to you, get your checklist going again. And then keep saying to yourself, yes, I don't feel like totally redoing all the windows, but could I do the top left-hand corner? Do I have enough energy to do the top left-hand corner? And if the answer is yes, take your spray bottle and go and do the top left-hand corner, because you will find that once you're up and at the window, you'll probably do the whole damn thing. Makes sense? And then you get a big check mark. Kimmy's saying, I'm lucky I live in a small town and don't have to wait in line. Good. I'm pleased to hear that. All right. So Sam is saying, I appreciate your swift kick in the backside about the driving. Just keep on track with Sam. Keep telling yourself, I am doing this and I will continue to do this and I will not quit on myself because I want the freedom of being able to drive. That's what we kept telling Manon. Just keep thinking about the freedom you are going to have. And by the way, her daddy gave her a car, after she passed it. So she literally passed the test and got a car all at the same time. So it was a wonderful time. And she has done, and by the way, she had real problems. She had depth perception problems. She really did struggle. But, I don't hear her talking about her driving at all these days. So Rinsky saying, I'm anxious about going out still. What precautions are you taking when you go out? As many as I can. I have found that for me, I wear a shield. All right. I don't. Why? Because who I am is my smile. And so therefore, to me, I want to say who I am. Now, I was pretty lucky. I got this, funny enough, some time ago, and I have more of them that are in storage now, which are not very useful to me. But I did find, where did I put it? I did find Walmart had some. They're not as nice as that. Yeah, I like these because they literally are on glasses. So here is the thing. If you happen to have a pair of glasses, the old ones, it might be an idea to make your own. Those of you who are crafty, and I know some of you are. Now, could droplets drop down here? Maybe, but I find this works really well for me. And then when I'm not using it, like if I'm driving the car, I have it up like this. It's really useful. And then just when I go in, when I'm going in somewhere, I just put it down. So that's one thing I do. The other thing I do is I constantly have wet wipes, bacterial wet wipes, and I carry them with me. And I also have extra ones here. And as soon as I'm leaving my environment, I literally pull out a wet wipe. I carry about 6 of them in my purse as well, but I take a wet wipe and I wrap it around my fingers. I do not touch a button anywhere. The button gets pushed with the wet wipe. Does that make sense? As you heard, I will do the journey from my room to my car, pressing everything with the wet wipe. When I get into my car, just in case, I will sanitize my hands and my steering wheel. Then I will go wherever I'm going and I will repeat that. So I've been shopping, I've been living a different life because of the fact that I'm living in a hotel. I'm pretty sure where I'm going, getting my groceries delivered will be difficult. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing about Amazon either. But I may have things delivered somewhere else. I don't know. I'm trying to work out how they do that, and I won't know that until I get there. In fact, I might write an email to them and ask them how people cope with that, because there must be a way. But there's a lot of security where I'm going, in terms of getting in and out of the buildings, which is a good thing. So I don't know how that works. All right, that's a good thing. Scam. Thank you. Funny enough, I was going to ask if anybody encountered a scam. I've had 3 or 4 calls about my saying the government of Canada trying to check up on stuff, but they don't make those calls. Normally it's about taxes, right? And then Kimmy's saying she just got a call from a scammer about renewing her Amazon Prime account. Watch out for them. Okay, so I hadn't heard about that one, so thank you, Kimmy. I'll make sure, the way you sort out your Prime account is online. It's not over the phone. Remember not to buy things over the phone. And please remember not to give out your personal information on the phone. What I do is I will say to them, if I happen to talk to them personally, I will say, if you'd like to give me your number, I will phone you back. And, sometimes they do, and I'll put the phone down, and then I will phone Amazon, or I will phone Visa, or whoever it is they're pretending to be, and say, have you been trying, please check your records. Have you been trying to contact me? And every time they tell me no, I say, thank you very much. Sam is saying, thanks, guys. I definitely need to work on gaining my freedom. Yes, it does wonders for your self-esteem. And yes, Jeannie's right. Self-punishment seems to be my favorite pastime most days. But Sam, that's why you're here, right? Isn't that true? That you could tell that by being here, you were going to learn how not to punish yourself as badly. Brinsky, I have found 2 places. I'm moving into a 1-bedroom with den for 2 weeks, or nearly 2 weeks, and then I will move into the 2-bedroom on November the 3rd. Let's hope I get the television working quickly so I can see what's going on with your election. Kimmy's saying, I use gloves and put the sanitizer on the gloves, then taking them off when I get in the car. Yes. And so, this is like, we've all got our routines, whatever it is. The other thing I would say is, if you're using a lot of sanitizer, make sure you get it under your nails and everything. But also, when I get back in my house, guys, I wash my hands with soap and water like a surgeon for quite a while. And then I dry them nicely, and then I moisturize them. Okay? Vrinsky, you would have missed it. It came on the earlier part, but I found out that I could be out of my house for probably 6, maybe even up to 9 months. They've just confirmed that. But who knows? It might all go well, and it could be 4. So we don't know. So my mind is saying 6 to 9. So if I get in any time before that, it's going to be a pleasant surprise. So this is our new norm. I've been saying to people, I think it would be fair to say that what we are doing with masks and washing our hands, and please increase what you're doing, don't limit what you're doing. People are getting lazy. Don't be one of those people. I would love to have you around for a long time. And I intend. The other thing is, if you get a cold, try to understand there's a big gap between feeling not well and having COVID. And, make sure you know what the symptoms are, and make sure you take your temperature if you're not feeling well. And so far, I'm doing just fine. I have a cold. But yes, I am human. So, when I started to have a cough, or when I started to, not feel well, I really, started to worry. But then again, I beat up on myself because I was curled up on the couch because I wasn't feeling well. And I'm going, this is not getting you anywhere. And I went, you know what Yvonne said to me? Yvonne said, you need to stop. and just rest. You probably need that more than anything after the month you have had, to just stop and rest. And maybe that's what God brought for you. And I just smiled and said, there you go. Unfortunately, I'm getting very close to finishing the binge watching thing that I've been watching for a while, but so be it. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to go out, even though it's a funny sort of looking day out there. I need to get some fresh air. That's another thing I would encourage you all to do. And it doesn't matter if you just open the windows and stand there and breathe in fresh air if you don't want to go out. But, make sure your house has plenty of fresh air in it. Make sure you have plenty of fresh air in it. And I have noticed that this week, because I haven't been walking as much and I haven't been doing as much, my blood sugars have gone up and I got a cold. So I am on a mission now to get back under control. I'm going to wrap up really warmly and just walk the car park because I can do that. And then I might even take myself down to the restaurant that's here attached to the hotel and have a meal, a full meal rather than, just scrap meals that I've been having. So this is Dear Mama Sal saying, we'll catch you this evening. We're back again at 7. I really hope that this has helped some of you and that you can understand that coping with our feelings is a great way to actually live. Do you understand? Everything I've talked to you about today has been what has happened to me in the last few days. It's enough to fill 2 hours of feelings, good and bad. Frustration, embarrassment to joy, it works. And then confusion. Why doesn't it read the same as the other words? It's just like, you see, it's just life. And if we can learn to take the good and the bad, and just not give either of them too much of our space. The good stuff, when it worked, was great, closely followed by the confusion. Why doesn't it say the same as the Fitbit? Then I'm going, well, apparently, you like the Fitbit a different way. So why don't you find out if you can replace it? So look at it and let's see whether we can get really aware of our feelings. Jody is, Jody, you're not feeling well. It's okay. You need to get some sleep. If you're not there this evening, we will understand. Really. Because your body needs you to rest, honey. So I don't know what pills you've got that allow you to do that, but you may want to take one and do it because you definitely need that sleep. And by the way, who was it? Sam, thank you so much for offering to help be the admin. We will put your name into the bucket that says when we need a backup, we're going to be contacting Sam. So Sam, really good idea to let Jody have your contact information in case she can't do it, that she can give you a heads up. And then you can let me know. Big hug, everybody. Remember to keep feeling. Remember to keep feeling. One of the sure signs that I had that I was out of shock was I was starting to feel things again. All right? I was starting to feel things again. I wasn't quite as stoic as I was in the first couple of days. I wasn't quite as funny. I started to feel sad and things like that. See, I started to feel. It's a great sign of life. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thank you for being here. Love you dearly. Remember to look after one another. But please, 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 Jody, remember to look after yourself first. Give yourself the same love that you would give to me. It's called get out of the double standard. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, see you this evening. Bye-bye for now.